Tonight on News 5 Live, leader of the opposition says one major issue transcends political lines. Charges filed in the murder of a Belize City mother. Suppliers warn of temporary fuel shortages. And the vaccine rollout enters next phase. Find out who is getting the jabs now. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
That's the sound of fuel efficiency. Every day, every time, I choose Una Fuels powered with Dynamax. Una, a brand committed with the future.
A workplace that is healthy and safe protects you and those depending on you at home. Prevent the spread of COVID-19 at work by following these steps. Always practice safe and healthy habits, like keeping your work environment clean and disinfected. Adapt working conditions and methods to reduce the risk of infection. Use personal protective equipment properly at all times. Speak up if you do not feel safe, because your safety and health is the priority. Frontline workers are exposed to a higher risk and need particular attention. Cooperate with and support them.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labour Organization.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank. Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, March 19th. I am Sabrina Daly. Opposition leader Patrick Faber has come out in support of teachers and public officers in light of the proposed 10% salary cut. For years, the former Minister of Education has had a continuous relationship with the unions. But now that the shoe is on the other foot, he is once again in their corner. This morning, Faber strongly criticized the Briceño administration for recommending a wage reduction when it continues to purchase vehicles and rent lofty office spaces amid the economic crisis. While the People's United Party places blame for the sharp economic downturn squarely at the feet of the previous government, Faber says that reckless spending will not ameliorate the country's financial crunch.
very clear on the position that we do not support the government in the proposed 10% salary cut or its increment freezes for the next 3 years, I think, is what is being proposed. You know, the fact of the matter is that there is so much else going on, and the government is saying it can't afford it, and there is no dispute that we are in tough times. There is dispute about why we are here, and they keep on blaming, of course, the UDP administration, completely forgetting, in fact, that they saddled the government with the super bond that is still there, but that's another matter. The fact of the matter is that even in the plight that we're in now, the PUP government continues to be very reckless, continues to just nonchalantly go about pleasing itself and its party supporters. We've seen how many new vehicles, we've seen the issue with the Ministry of Health vehicles and the way in which they operate. We've seen the Prime Minister rent 2 new office spaces when there's a perfectly good office space in Belmopan and cabinet room in Belmopan. So they are reckless, and you know, our position is now, as it always has been, that we should try our very best to keep this large block of employees working so that they can contribute back to the economy.
To make matters worse, the cost of living, particularly fuel, continues to inch upward. In the past 4 weeks, the price per gallon of regular, premium, and diesel gasoline has increased considerably. Faber's sharp criticism, however, comes after 12 years of the United Democratic Party being in office. During that time, the Barrow administration was also responsible for the ballooning of the national debt. In the last year in office, the UDP borrowed and spent $700 million.
The fact that gasoline prices are so high as well, and fuel prices in general are so high, causes major concern. So all of this combined, no, it's not the best way. Now, will the government have to take measures? We've said yes, but that's not where they should start. In fact, we're not just preaching this. In fact, this was the practice of the UDP. You know, the former Prime Minister did his best, supported by all of us in the cabinet, to ensure that there was no pay cut to our teachers, public servants, police officers. And we make these distinctions because sometimes people don't realize that some of the very same frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors, the police officers, they are going to get a pay cut when in fact they have been taking a licking on the front line fighting this pandemic.
One could argue nonetheless that for the sake of political expedience, the previous administration may have staved off any salary cuts or whatsoever because it was an election year. Now that this particular government is faced with that reality, you're singing a different tune.
Well, the truth is that when faced with these negative situations in terms of the economy, all things are an option. But what you cannot deny is that the UDP administration, maybe from the time the pandemic entered, which was, I think, if I remember, around this time last year, it was an election year, yes, but we did everything that we could do to stave that off. And that is what I hear the teachers and the public servants saying. They're saying, listen, we're not opposed to this kind of cut, you know, but this cut has to come when you've tried everything else.
Earlier this week, we saw branches of the Belize National Teachers Union hold simultaneous motorcades across the country to make a statement against the government's proposal salary cut and increment freeze. Today, the Public Service Union staged its own motorcade in different parts of the country. The collective effort is to express their dissatisfaction with the cost-saving measures that GOB is championing, which, if implemented, will see some $60 million slashed off the wage bill in the coming fiscal year. That's a 10% cut for public officers. But as you heard earlier this week, in the joint union meetings, PSU and the other unions have their own recommendations how GOB can make fiscal changes. In an attempt to make a statement again and remind GOB that they are not in support of the current measures being proposed, the members of the PSU got in their vehicles and carried out a motorcade, which started on Coney Drive in Belize City and continued along the Central American Boulevard and ended at the Yabra Field, where the vehicles dispersed. The members of the PSU made bold statements against the proposed measures, with loudspeakers and bold printed statements plastered across vehicles, with messages such as "no salary cut" and "Lego afa ono allowances." The prescription by the International Monetary Fund for Belize to implement stringent measures to turn the economy around is being rejected in favor of a homegrown economic recovery plan. While the Briceño administration intends to do things its way, opposition leader Patrick Faber says that the ideal approach to breathing new life into the dying economy begins with striking a healthy balance between both prescriptions.
What the IMF proposes is quite often very, very draconian as far as we see things. And while that kind of prescription coming from the IMF, we in the UDP administration have long withstood that too. But you've got to be serious about what it is you're trying to do in a homegrown plan. And it is evident that this group, our government right now, does not have that kind of plan. If the IMF prescribes a lot of things, including cutting the number of workers, for instance, let's say in the government workforce, PUPs clearly aren't trying to do that. They had an opportunity. They have in fact retrenched hundreds of government workers. This had nothing to do with the pandemic. They did this out of the vindictive nature of politics that they practice. If they were genuine, they didn't have to hire back people. They fire people to hire new people. They created new executive posts at astronomical salaries, $75,000 and up.
Rollout of the COVID-19 vaccination program continued today at various stations across the country, including the SJC Gymnasium, where the leader of the opposition, United Democratic Party, was inoculated. This morning, Colette Area Representative Patrick Faber showed up to get his shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Not only was he eligible to get a jab, the move was made primarily to convince others that the vaccine is safe and worth getting. It is one of few initiatives thus far that the opposition has supported, given the severity of the pandemic. We caught up with him after he received his first injection.
So far I'm feeling great. It wasn't anything painful. Somebody gave me a little hint that I should take my Tylenol before taking the shot, so I took the Tylenol about half hour ago, and so far it's a pain-free process. It's something that I encourage people to do.
You're taking the vaccine as a member of the National Assembly?
Well, what happened was that they contacted me to do the press because, of course, there are some people who are skeptical. Of course, they see me as the leader of the opposition doing this as a kind of encouragement for those who may be feeling a bit skeptical. I believe that's the reason.
I'll be able to say that you align yourself with government's vaccination rollout program.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have discussed this matter, in fact, in our shadow cabinet as recent as yesterday. And I've always said that when it is that we can agree that something the government is doing is good for Belize, that they can count on us. And the vaccination initiative is one such initiative.
After the break, it was a week of street violence. Now, some are already on remand or appearing in court. These stories and more when we return.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, "Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he wrought a work on the wheels. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make. O house of Israel, can I not do with you as I did this potter, saith the Lord?" A visitor once made a visit to a sculptor's studio, and as he was walking through the studio, he happened to see some blocks of marble laying off in a corner by themselves, and out of these castaways he saw a man's hand emerging from one of the blocks, a head with a face unfinished out of another, and other pieces of unfinished work. Being intrigued, he asked the artist why the pieces were unfinished and abandoned. The artist replied, all those pieces showed great promise on the outside and on the surface, but as I chiseled deeper, flaws and defects in the marble that were not visible on the surface showed up, and they had to be abandoned. The good news is that God specializes in castaways. He can take a life or a nation that once appeared to be destined for greatness but was ruined by sin and cast away as useless and make something new of beauty and purpose out of it. If a potter can take a piece of marred clay and make it again, God says to nations and to individuals, as He said to Israel, can I not do with you as this potter? So why not give God a chance in your life? Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Started getting ready for Easter yet? If not, to get the cash you need to hit the road, take a sip, and kick your feet up for your Easter adventures, apply online at quickstoponline.com or head on over to your nearest Quick Stop branch for the cash you need. As a first-time customer, enjoy your holidays with no payments until April. Offer ends March 31st. So let's get you Easter ready with a no-hassle loan from Quick Stop Personal Finance Center.
Prevenir el contagio de la COVID-19 requiere que los negocios de todos los tamaños y sectores den máxima prioridad a la seguridad y salud en el trabajo. Los gerentes y empleados deben realizar evaluaciones de riesgos para identificar áreas y procedimientos que ponen en peligro las vidas y los negocios. 6 pasos para crear un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable. 1. Identificar posibles fuentes de transmisión de virus. 2. Determinar quién podría estar infectado y cómo podría infectarse. 3. Discutir y decidir las medidas de prevención y control. 4. Implementar, comunicar y testear medidas. 5. Asegurar que el equipamiento de protección es adecuado para cada situación. 6. Mantener registros, revisar medidas y actualizarlas cuando sea necesario.
We must all do our part to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
The Mega Progressive Jackpot has gone up to $112,554, and it can be yours this Saturday, March 20th. Get your tickets and tune in to the live show airing on Channel 5, Wave Radio, Radio Bahia, and Love FM. The show can also be streamed on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for Belize Mega Bingo and tune in live. So don't miss your chance. All that mega cash can be yours. Mega Bingo is the game.
Days after gun violence claimed the lives of a mother of 8 and a youth on Logwood Street in Belize City, police have charged a mechanic and another minor for the killings. This afternoon, police escorted Richard Mervyn Bennett to the magistrate's court, where he was arraigned before Senior Magistrate Aretha Ford. Bennett, who gave his address as Magazine Road, was remanded to the Belize Central Prison until May 20th. The minor was arraigned at the Belize Family Court in the presence of a parent. Bennett and the minor are accused of jumping the back fence to the home of Cynthia Conarchy at around 7:30 on Tuesday night and opening fire as she and Alan Garcia were sitting on the steps. Both victims died the same night. Also in court news, 3 men were remanded to the Belize Central Prison on a slew of gun charges, as well as for being members of a street gang. Travis Herbert, Shaquem Ortiz, and Sean Nunez were read 4 separate charges of possession of a gun and 4 other charges of ammunition, loaded magazines, and 7 live rounds when they appeared before senior magistrate Aretha Ford. They pleaded not guilty to all the charges and were remanded to prison until May 21st. A father is in the Belize Central Prison today facing kidnapping charges. Evan Kerr, who is currently visiting Belize from the U.S., is accused of taking his 6-year-old son to the United States in November 2020 without the permission of the child's mother. Magistrate Tricia Pitts-Anderson denied Kerr bail, and that's where things got complicated. His attorney, Richard Dickey Bradley, told News 5 that Kerr had already made plans to return to the U.S. when the charges were filed against him.
My understanding is that from the police information, the magistrate would not have known that he's a Belizean American, that he's lived here most of his life. He worked at the immigration department. But now, like so many of us, he's trying to make it elsewhere. So a charge of kidnapping is a very, very serious charge. It's an indictable matter that can only be tried in the Supreme Court in front of a jury. In the interim, because it's an indictable matter, you know the list of indictable matter is longer than if I stretch out my 2 hands. So I imagine a judge would look favorable on the matter. Foreigners have been granted bail for serious offenses. It is a serious offense. The magistrate would be within her duty to look at it as the serious nature it is. So we're hoping that we could at least get bail for him so he can return to his employment in the United States and come for whatever dates the court would set, no?
Bradley is trying to get a Supreme Court judge to hear a bail application as soon as possible on Kerr's behalf, with strict conditions while he waits for the case to be called. Bradley says it is his understanding that the child speaks with his mother in Belize often. Magistrate Pitts-Anderson adjourned the case until May 19th. The Central American LPG companies of Bewell, Zeta Gas, and Gas Tomza says that they have to ration out LPG to supply the local market. According to the 3 companies, they have been getting inconsistent supply from the national gas company, and they have been unable to meet the demands of the local market. Here's how their spokesperson puts it.
There has been an inconsistent supply of LPG, liquid petroleum gas, to Gas Tomza, Belize Western Energy Limited, and Zeta Gas. As far back as late February, in fact, Belize Western Energy Limited has made contacts with the monopoly supplier, the National Gas Company of Belize, regarding shipments, and they have been inconsistent. And the same has been done with Gas Tomza. Gas Tomza has written to them because their supply has dwindled to a very drastic measure. Essentially, they have reduced the stock from 100% that they initially would get in regular supply from the Bowsers down to 70%, and it's possibly going to be less. So to be able to furnish the market, people at home, your wives using cooking gas, butane, they are now going to ration fuel in what they sell to customers to be able to reach an entire market. And that is a problem, and all 3 companies are facing the same issue in regards to supply. They're unable to get a reason from NGCL as to why the supply has dwindled.
This evening, News 5 reached out to the National Gas Company for comment on the issue. Their spokesperson, Daniel Gutierrez, says that there is no shortage of supply of LPG. He says that they have been fulfilling their loads according to schedule for all their distributors. Here's how he explains it.
Every load of gas that has been sought by Belize's 30 plus intermediaries and distributors have been met since NGC started operations in May. In fact, Andrea, this morning, a couple of loads went out to NGC's distributor clients. Like I said, there are 30 plus distributors. These 3 are only 3 of those 30 plus. And not only have those loads been met this morning, but the loads for the week. All of the loads for the week that were scheduled will be met. So there is no such thing as a shortage of gas. In fact, I'll go even further. I'd say to you is that a tanker with over 1 million gallons of LPG is docking at the port of Big Creek tonight. So, no man, that is not the case. Belize is never out of gas. We are meeting what the country needs.
Was there any point where they wanted a certain amount to supply the market and NGC couldn't come up with it immediately at that point?
No. NGC only loads tankers. NGC loads tankers as per a schedule. You can't show up there right now and expect to be loaded without a schedule. It doesn't work like that. Once you are scheduled, then NGC calls you in. Now, if for some reason you may owe money in excess of what NGC policy allows, like every other company, then you will not be loaded. But other than that, NGC has loaded its clients as of May of 2020 and has ensured that the country of Belize has ample supply of LPG.
So just to conclude, the NGC denies these claims being put out there.
NGC can say categorically that all the loads that are scheduled for this week shall be met.
There's much more news after the break, so stay tuned.
The United Democratic Party strongly opposes the government's proposal to significantly reduce the salaries and freeze the increments of teachers, public officers, including police, BDF, Coast Guard, firefighters, doctors, and nurses, and all persons paid from the public purse. The UDP stands in full solidarity with them in rejecting and resisting such a harsh proposal. While no one will disagree with the need for prudence and discipline in government spending, particularly in the context of prevailing financial constraints caused by the downturn in economic activity due to COVID-19, cutting the salaries of public officers is neither a fair nor feasible proposition. We note that since taking office, this administration has significantly increased the number of ministries, created numerous lucrative posts, and hired political hacks with exorbitant salaries, allowances, and other perks to fill those positions, while simultaneously wasting millions of dollars to purchase brand new luxurious vehicles and to rent expensive, unnecessary office space, including 2 additional spaces for the Prime Minister himself, as well as other ministers and their special political operatives who are now a recurrent burden on the wage bill. The UDP strongly opposes this reduction in salaries because it simply cannot be afforded by the public officers, especially at this time when thousands of Belizeans, many of whom belong to the same households as these public officers, have already lost their jobs or means of income, even as the cost of fuel, food, and other commodities continue to skyrocket. Furthermore, such measures as the government is now proposing are not in line with its mandate from the people, which was not to take away anything from Belizeans, particularly not from the working class or the struggling masses, but to grow the economy, expand opportunities, restore jobs, and create new employment so that everybody would win. For the record, the UDP, while it was the government, did everything to keep intact the substantive salaries of all our public officers and was firmly committed to continue doing so if re-elected to government. The UDP not only opposes the substance of the government's proposal, but also condemns the manner in which it is being administered and the gross disrespect to our teachers and public officers by elected officials who keep making public statements that are uncomplimentary, condescending, and downright demeaning. We regard with particular and utter disgust the Prime Minister's remarks that public officers and teachers have not been making any sacrifice, which could not be further from the truth, and the publicly expressed view by the Minister of the Public Service that for teachers or public officers to protest is to waste their time. The UDP calls on the government to clean up its act, cut the waste at the top, and leave alone the salaries of our teachers and public officers, which is essential for their survival and for the stability of their families
our communities, and our country.
Start your year with a win with Bellikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Bellikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Bellikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win $100. And once you see one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellikin again, you know. Papa Stopper. When you pop a stopper off a Bellikin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, a safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace. It reduces the risk of infecting workers and visitors. An unhealthy workplace makes problems that are common to a pandemic even worse, such as increased workloads, longer working hours, isolation, domestic violence, stress, anxiety, and depression. On the other hand, a healthy workplace protects people, allows businesses to continue operations, and keeps communities healthy. You can do your part by following these steps. Wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose. Stay at least 6 feet away from others. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Look out for and follow all safety instruction signs. Stay at home and away from others if you feel ill. Speak up if you do not feel safe.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labor Organization.
Hello. Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's Twice as Nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
The spiny lobster is Belize's most valuable fishery commodity. It brings in millions of dollars in revenue for the country every year, and it helps to support thousands of livelihoods. So the partners in this sector want to see this fishery remain sustainable, but they recognize that all those in the sector must collaborate to reap the benefits. In 2019, the Nature Conservancy and several other partners began to implement a project called the Belize Spiny Lobster Fisheries Improvement Project, FIP. Next week, the partners will officially launch this project in Belize. But today, James Foley of the NTC spoke with News 5 about what they want to achieve.
It's been a sustainable industry up until maybe the last 15, 20 years or so, when we have started to see, and I think the co-ops would agree, they have started to see that despite more fishers entering the fishery, the total amount of product being landed has stabilized, and in some research suggests that there has even been some decline in the productivity of lobster as well. So that was really where the impetus came for launching into this project, that the cooperatives wanted to find a framework, a mechanism through which we could achieve positive change. It's an industry that involves multiple stakeholders across multiple sectors, and really the only way to manage this fishery sustainably is to bring all of those partners together to work on different aspects, to implement a combined triple impact fisheries improvement project with Future Fishers fishery development model, or what we call FIP plus FDM. So one of the main goals of the FIP is to coordinate and continuously promote the collaboration of national and international stakeholders of the Belize lobster fishery to work on improvement across environmental, social, and economic components of the fishery.
As you may know by now, the Ministry of Blue Economy is a new ministry for Belize, and that naturally comes with some shaping and shifting. One of those big changes will include a new fisheries administrator at the helm of the Belize Fisheries Department. The current fisheries administrator is Beverly Wade, but we were told that she will be stepping down away from the department and taking up another role in the ministry, which means there will be a new hire at the Fisheries Department. Earlier this week, when we spoke with Minister Andre Perez, we asked him about this change and who will take up the position. Here's how he responded.
Part of the restructuring of the blue economy is that we must engage and use the best resources available in terms of human resources, right? And I am happy to report to you that within the Fisheries Department, many people are highly competent. And we from the ministry are focusing on where we can put the people in best possible, because now it's a blue economy. We cannot be focusing on just the Fisheries Department. And we have, of course, some changes occurring there, and it's all for the good and benefit, and recognizing that there is a vast potential of human resources in the Fisheries Department. And that is all what we're doing, engaging right now.
So when can we expect a new fisheries admin minister?
Very soon, very soon. We make it official and everything, but it's going to be very good news. It's a win-win for all. I can tell you that much.
No nepotistic appointment there. Is it someone internal?
Absolutely, no kind of nepotistic thing right now. I can take clearly to you. All right, it's by merit, by people who have, by just recognizing the potential, they have the experience, the capacity, and the way they conduct themselves, very professional. And we from the Ministry of Blue Economy recognize that. So please, make no bring this word nepotism. It doesn't exist here, especially in our ministry here. Good question, though.
I have to ask.
Good question, though.
When we come back, News 5 takes a look at land disagreements in Barranco Village. Stay with us.
Lord, patience with them people out here. I want to talk to the one who sit on the street, they hold their mask, they dangle it from their hand like this, or they put their mask on their chin like that, or put it round their neck like so. Or worse, they one will like they hang it from their neck like that chain. Then when they see the police they come, they hurry put the mask on their face. You don't understand the harm you do to yourself. And not only to you, to other people too. If you want to be infected with the COVID-19 virus, got you. But you have to understand, all we are affected by your fool action. Not just you, people like say they can't take the mask. What do you think better? Deal with the mask fairly well or end up in a hospital? If somebody not live in the same house with you, you have to wear one mask when you're there with them. Even if they're your family or your company, you still need to wear the mask. Everybody you meet could have COVID-19. When you wear the mask the correct way, if you cover your whole nose, your whole mouth and your chin, that's how we will protect all our way.
A message from the Pan-American Health Organization, World Health Organization, the European Union, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Hello, Belize. You may not be aware of the new travel requirements set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable protege a usted y a los suyos en su hogar. Todos debemos implicarnos y cumplir con las medidas para prevenir el contagio del virus. En el lugar de trabajo, practique siempre hábitos seguros y saludables y mantenga los lugares de trabajo limpios y desinfectados. Adapte las condiciones y métodos de trabajo para reducir el riesgo de contagio. Utilice correctamente y en todo momento el equipo de protección personal. Si no se siente seguro, dígalo. Su seguridad y salud es la prioridad. Los trabajadores de primera línea están expuestos a un mayor riesgo y necesitan una atención especial. Coopere y apóyelos.
It takes all of us to stop the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice, en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
A cease and desist letter was recently issued by Commissioner of Lands Talbert Brackett, halting activities on a farm in Midway Village. The issue stems from a dispute in which the boundaries of Barranco and Midway have not been clearly defined. Historically, the lands belong to the people of Barranco, who, in the past, allowed a member of the Maya community to settle and farm on a piece of property. President of the National Garifuna Council, Sandra Miranda, explains.
One of the village council members got a letter from the lands department, the lands commissioner, to cease and desist the use of his farm that is almost like say between Barranco and Midway. But what Belizeans need to know is that Midway Village is actually on Barranco farmland. It was owned by the Cayetanos, And they started out by giving one person, the Maya group, permission to build a house on this farm and farm as in peace. Then it started to multiply. Then, family came, other family members came, and then the next thing you know, it's a full-fledged community. It started around 1982. Now, if we are two indigenous groups, the UN have recognized Garinago as indigenous. So if we are two indigenous groups, then we should be treated equally. So they need to discuss, and the ILO Convention and the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People clearly stated that the tribal lands, the indigenous lands, the lands that your ancestors used way back then, belongs to you.
When you go out shopping, you don't usually expect to be invited to join a training session to promote your own business. But that is exactly what happened with 50 Quartz customers who just completed a multi-week training session in marketing skills for new entrepreneurs. The training is normally done with in-person, hands-on classes, but due to the pandemic, the program migrated online. This worked out well for a number of participants who recently found themselves out of a job or had their work hours curtailed. The digital format also meant the Broadening Horizons program could double the number of entrepreneurs working with trainers from the Belize Institute of Management. News 5 spoke with Tristan Coleman of Quartz Unicommer today about the sessions, which did include some in-person interactions before this week's graduation ceremony.
We decided to switch into a virtual platform, not only because of the regulations, but because we would have the opportunity to have more participants for the program, and then we could facilitate a bigger package for the participants. So what this package included was everyone who participated, which was 50 participants, they got a free commercial, a free logo design with the branding book, and then we went across the country from Corozal to Punta Gorda, meeting every individual so that they could give us an interview and take their graduation picture. We enjoyed the past 7 weeks working with them during the training sessions led by Beltrade, and we wish them all the best in the future.
The graduation will be streamed on the Quartz Facebook page Saturday morning. According to Coleman, the Broadening Horizons program began at the Unicommer offices in El Salvador, but is now happening across the region. The Belize training was the largest so far. Coming up, they have been stuck at home, unable to play together, or only practicing in a bubble. Now Team Belize is ready for FIFA qualifying rooms. Details of the lineup when we return.
Preventing the spread of COVID-19 at work requires that businesses of all sizes and sectors put safety and health first. Managers and employees should conduct risk assessments to identify critical areas and procedures that put lives and businesses in danger. Here are 6 tips for creating a safe and healthy working environment. 1. Identify potential sources of virus transmission. 2. Determine who might be infected and how. 3. Discuss and decide prevention and control measures. 4. Make sure the safety equipment being used is right for the situation. 5. Implement, communicate, and test measures. 6. Keep records, review measures, and update when necessary.
We must all do our part to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
For more information, visit www.covid19.bz. A message from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize in collaboration with the International Labour Organization.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
Durante la pandemia de la COVID-19, un lugar de trabajo seguro y saludable es un lugar de trabajo mejor. Esto reduce el riesgo de transmisión del virus entre trabajadoras, trabajadores y clientes. Los lugares de trabajo inseguros agravan los problemas durante la pandemia. Aumento de la carga de trabajo, jornadas laborales más largas, aislamiento, violencia doméstica, estrés, ansiedad y depresión. Trabajar de manera segura protege a las personas, permite seguir operando y mantiene a las comunidades saludables. Usted puede hacer la diferencia siguiendo los siguientes pasos: usando máscaras para cubrir boca y nariz, respetando el distanciamiento físico de 6 pies, lavándose las manos con jabón durante al menos 20 segundos, siguiendo instrucciones y señalización de seguridad y salud, quedándose en casa si está enfermo, diciéndolo si no se siente seguro.
It takes all of us to slow the spread. A safe and healthy workplace is a better workplace.
Para obtener más información, visite www.covid19.bz. Un mensaje de la Cámara de Comercio e Industria de Belice y el Congreso Nacional de Sindicatos de Belice en colaboración con la Organización Internacional del Trabajo.
In case you missed it, the Football Federation of Belize presented its official roster for the upcoming FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The team was selected after a series of cuts based on fitness and other training preparation. As News 5's Andrea Polanco found out, the players have had to maintain a lot of self-discipline during the pandemic, but are now roaring to go.
The Football Federation of Belize has put together the roster for the national A team that will represent Belize in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The 23 players are seasoned names and young talent from home and abroad.
The goalkeeper, Mr. Woodward West. Mr. Ethan Wagner. Mr. Isaac Castillo. Ian Guinea. Norman Anderson, Colin Westby, Jose Urbina, Israel Sutherland, Everald Trapp, Andres Mackin Jr., Jordi Polanco, Ian Lewis, Jesse Agas, Christian Lopez, Nahib Giria, Desmond Wade, Deshaun Nemhard, Angelo Capayo, Mike Atkinson, Nana Mensah, Carlos Bernardes, Dion Macaulay, John Elzane.
It's been a tough year for the footballers. They've been unable to play the sport due to the COVID-19 regulations. In order to avoid default for the upcoming qualifiers, they had to prepare by training in a bubble at the FFB grounds. According to the FFB, the team members trained long and hard even before they joined the training camp last month.
We started in the mid-October because of the quarantine and unable to play contact sport. We had to go online to implement a special training program individually for our players. And from mid-October leading up to the middle of January, we had to have our players work on a specific endurance, strength, and speed.
Of our national team preparation so far, this has been the most challenging. Yeah. Apart from not playing for an entire year, the players had to motivate themselves to keep in tip-top shape for the day they would be called to take the physical test. Then once chosen, the mental preparation for living an entire month away from home before traveling an additional 10 days with the ambitions of representing our country.
The team is a mix of veteran footballers and young players who say they're excited for the qualifiers.
We have all sacrificed so much. The most prestigious trophy in world football is on the line for us once again, Belize. The sacrifices that we have made are not easy, especially in the time we're living in. But we love this country and we love the game so much that we are ready to do whatever it takes to bring success to our family, to our fans, to our country, and to ourselves.
I've enjoyed every moment. I love playing football and I've loved being here and it's always an honor to represent my country regardless of where I've been, where I'm coming from. I will always want to represent my country. So on that note, I can't wait to put that shirt on and step out onto that pitch and show Belize what I and the team will do.
The Belize Jaguars team heads to Haiti on Sunday, where they will play their first match against that island, and then they head to Dominican Republic, where they will play their home match against the Turks and Caicos. President of the FFB, Sergio Chuk, wants Belize to rally behind the Jaguars.
Belize, I ask you from the bottom of my heart, give your team, give the Jaguars 100% support. They are facing, I believe, the most difficult opponent in our group next week. And once we pass this hurdle, which we are sure we could pass, it would be flying colors for the rest of the game.
Reporting for News 5, I am Andrea Polanco.
The team will be accompanied by head coach Dale Pelayo Sr., assistant coach Marvin Otley, goalkeeper coach Stanley Renaud, along with several other supporting staff, including a manager, physical trainer and therapist, and a doctor. Michael Salazar and Tony Roca, who play in the Major League Soccer in the U.S., are unable to join the team due to quarantine regulations time period. The COVID-19 vaccine rollout has been moving rapidly, so rapidly that in Belize City, they are already in phase 2. Vaccinations for teachers began on Thursday, so educators are being urged to go to any of the clinics or school sites offering the fire shots as soon as possible. Media workers are also being included in this phase. Today, personnel from Channel 5, including news anchor and Open Your Eyes morning show host Marlene Cuellar, got the jab. Whether you are a teacher or media worker, those giving the vaccinations today at the St. John's College Gymnasium asked us to remind those planning to get their shots next week that in addition to their Social Security card, please bring along your teacher's license, press pass, or other documents to prove you do indeed belong to this phase. So far, over 12,000 Belizeans have gotten inoculated, beginning with healthcare workers and those over age 60, as well as people with chronic illnesses. Over 78% of the healthcare workers at the nation's main referral hospital, the Carl Huchner Memorial, has already been vaccinated. And finally tonight, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting a dramatic drop in COVID-19 cases countrywide, with only one new confirmed case, 2 new recoveries, and no deaths. The MOHW is, however, urging everyone to continue wearing a face mask properly in public, maintaining physical distance, and avoiding social gatherings. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.